Hello, students. Let's start our LR topic. The chapter is 2. The name is The Model Millionaire. Huggy Iskane was a lovely young man. He was not very intelligent, though, we must admit. He never said a clever or even an unpleasant thing in his life. But he was wonderfully good looking with a handsome face, curly hairs, and green eyes. So this is the description given about the character, the main character of the story, that is Huggy Erskine. He was very popular with everybody and he had every skills except that of making money. Making money means he don't know how to earn money. When his father died, he left Huggy no money at all. So no money was him when his father died. Huggy lived on a little money that an old aunt gave him. So his living was going on with the help of his old aunt who lent him little money. He tried his hand at several jobs, but he didn't like any of them. That means he had tried many jobs, he done many jobs, but he was not able to do anything perfectly. Finally, he became nothing a delightful, unsuccessful young man with a handsome face and no job. To make matters worse, he was in love. The girl he loved was Laura Merton, the daughter of a retired colonel, an army person. Retired colonel, the person who is retired from army. Laura and Huggy was deeply in love. They were the handsomest couple in London and did not have a penny between them. The colonel was very fond of Huggy but would not hear of any marriage. Colonel likes Huggy but he didn't want that his daughter should marry Huggy. Come to me, my boy, when you have got 10,000 points of your own and we will see about it. So father create a challenge for Huggy that he had to brought 10,000 pounds, then only he will allow him to marry his daughter. He used to say Huggy looked very unhappy on those days. Only his visits to Laura make him happy. One morning he went to see a great friend of his, Alan Trevor. Trevor was a painter whose pictures were eagerly bought by lovers of art. He was fond of Huggy for his cheerfulness and his good nature. So the painter friend loves Huggy's behavior, loves Huggy's nature. When Huggy went in, he found Trevor painting a wonderful life-size picture of a beggar man. The beggar himself was standing on a raised platform in a corner of the studio. Yes, the studio is the place where the painter has its own materials or requirements for making the paintings. You had seen the furniture studios, the painting studios, the photo studios. He was a very old man with a wrinkled face. Yes, when so many lines comes on the face, which forms you to get older. And pitiful looks. Over his shoulder he wore a coarse brown coat, the rough brown coat, all torn. That means the coat was not in proper condition. His thick boots were patched and mended. You can see all these things given in the picture. And with one hand he leaned. Lean means to bend down on a rough stick, while with the other he held out his stone hat for alms. Alms is the money. The beggar holds the ball in his hand. What a wonderful model, whispered Huggy as he shook hand with his friend. He met his friend. He just asked his friend that the model is very wonderful and how miserable he looks. But I suppose to you painters, his face is his fortune. Fortune is his luck, the luck of the beggar. Certainly, replied Trevor. Trevor is a painter here. You don't want a beggar to look happy, do you? So painter is saying that we don't want a beggar to smile. We want the beggar with a pretty face. How much does a model get for sitting? Asked Huggy as he found himself a comfortable seat on a sofa. A shilling an hour. Shilling is a currency. Like in India, we have rupee. So in London, the currency is shilling. And how much do you get for your picture, Ellen? Oh, for this, I get £2,000. So he is paying very less to beggar and he is getting too much from the painting. That's the thing Huggy want to clear. Well, I think the model must get a part of it, cried Huggy, laughing. They were quite as hard as you do. Nonsense! It's all very well, Huggy, for you to talk, but look at all the troubles I have getting the paints exactly the right color and putting it on the canvas. So, painter is explaining his talent or his stress or his efforts while making the painting of this beggar. He is putting the exact colors, exact contrast, exact expressions to make the picture real. It's not easy work, I can tell you, but you must not chatter. I'm very busy, so keep quiet. So he is saying, the painter friend is saying to keep quiet to his friend Huggy. After some time, the servant came in and old Travers from the frame maker wanted to speak to him. Don't run away, Huggy, he said. As we went out, I will be back in a moment. So somebody was there outside the studio who wanted to talk to the painter. So that's why the servant was here. The old beggar sat down for a moment on a wooden bench that was behind him. He looked so miserable that Huggy felt sad and searched in his pocket to see what money he had. All he could find was a gold coin, a sovereign. Again, the sovereign is a British gold coin. So looking at the condition of the beggar, Huggy feel very sad, very miserable, and he want to help the beggar. So he searched his pocket and he found one gold coin. Poor old fellow, he thought to himself. He wants it more than I do. But it means no buses for me for a month. And he walked across the studio and slipped the sovereign into the beggar's hand. So that gold coin was the money he will use for the conveyance, for the payment of the bus charges, bus fare for a month. That means for whole month he has to walk across. He will not able to hire the bus. He will not able to pay for the bus fare. But he then also gave that money, that gold coin, to beggars. He was so kind-hearted man. The old man was surprised and a smile appeared on his lips. Thank you, sir. He said, thank you very much. Then Trevor came back and Huggy took his leave, blushing a little at what he had done. As the Trevor came back from outside, Huggy left the studio. He left the studio, but he was very happy. He was very satisfied that he had done a great job. He spent the day with Laura, got a scolding for giving the beggar all his money, and had to walk home. So Laura was not happy because now Huggy have to walk to his home for the whole month. That night he met Trevor at the artist's club. Well, Alan, did you finish the picture? He said. Finished and framed, my boy, answered Trevor. And by the way, you have made a new friend. That old model you saw seems to have become quite fond of you. Yes. So the painter Trevor was telling to Huggy that he has made a new friend, and that is a beggar. And the beggar was very interested in Huggies. He wanted to know everything about Huggy. So he's fond of Huggy. I had to tell him all about you, who you are, where you live, what your income is, and what your hopes are. So the beggar was asking each and everything from Huggy's life. My dear Alm, cried Huggy, I shall probably find him waiting for me when I go home. But of course, you are only joking. Poor old man. I wish I could do something for him. I have got a lot of old clothes at home. Do you think he would want any of them? Why, his rags were falling to bits. So Huggy is still in this impression that the old man is more interested in the help, and Huggy has his old clothes and he want to donate that all old clothes to him. I will tell him of your offer, said Trevor with a smile. Trevor was smiling when he heard this thing that Huggy want to give his old clothes to that poor beggar. And now tell me how Laura is. The old model was quite interested in her. You do not mean to say you talked to him about her, said Huggy. Certainly I did. He knows all about the pitiless Colonel, the lovely Laura, and the 10,000 pounds. So, the painter Trevor had told each and everything to that beggar about Huggy's life, about his girlfriend, about the condition that the father of Laura has created for him, about the 10,000 pounds also. You told that old beggar about all that? Cried Huggy, looking very red and angry. My dear boy, said Trevor smiling, that old beggar, as you call him, is one of the richest men in Europe. Wow, the beggar was not the beggar. He was doing the modeling of the old beggar. He's the richest man in Europe. He could buy all London if he wanted. He has a house in every capital, eats from gold plates, and knows all the great men in the world. Yes, that old man, that poor beggar was not poor. He is the richest man in the London who has a bungalow, or we can say a house in every area, in every part, in every capital, who eats in the gold plates and know every rich personality. What do you mean? Cried Huggy. I mean what I say, said Trevor. The old man you saw today in the studio was Baron Hosburg. He is a great friend of mine, buys all my pictures, and asked me a month ago to paint him as a beggar. It is a wish of a millionaire, and I must say he looked wonderful in his rags. So Trevor was explaining the things, that what was the situation. The richest person name was Baron Hosburg, and he wanted to be painted as a beggar. Baron Hosburg, cried Huggy. God heavens! I gave him a sovereign. He sank into an armchair, looking most unhappy. So, after hearing the name of Baron, Huggy was very sad and disappointed because he had given his only gold coin in that impression that he was a beggar and he is in need of the money. And he is now without money. He has to walk for the whole month. All these thoughts left him so much depressed and unhappy that he sat down. He just fell down into an armchair. Gave him a sovereign? Shouted Trevor and burst into a roar of laughter. Ha ha! My dear boy, you will never see it again. His business is with others people's money. He is a banker. Yes, he is a person who takes money from other people and just invests in his business. He's a banker. Why didn't you tell me, Ellen? Said Huggy, and not let me make such a fool of myself. Now, Huggy is feeling that he has done a foolish act. Well, to begin with, Huggy and Trevor, I never knew that you went about giving alms in that careless way. Besides, when you came in, I wasn't sure whether Hasberg would like anyone to know who he was. You remember how he was dressed? Now Trevor is explaining his situation, that he was not expecting that Huggy will give him money. Huggy will give him that gold coin, feeling that he's a beggar. And the other person, that is a Baron Hasberg, is not like will not like this thing if his secret of this, that he's the richest man, is just told to that person, the Huggy also. What a fool he must think me, said Huggy. Now Huggy is realizing that he has done a foolish act, and the impression of Huggy will be a fool. Not at all. He seemed very happy. He kept laughing to himself and rubbing his old wrinkled hands together. I didn't understand why he was so interested to know all about you, but now I do. He will put your sovereign in the bank of you, Huggies pay you the interest every 6 months, and have a good story to tell his friends. Now, Trevor is explaining that Baron Hasberg will tell these all things to his friends and enjoy your story. That how a simple, honest man thought that he is a beggar and gave him the money. I am an unlucky devil, said Huggy. The best thing can do is to go to bed. And my dear Anne, you must not tell anyone. I'm ashamed of myself. Huggy is not at all happy. He's so disappointed. He's so depressed that he don't want to share his this foolish act, according to him, with anybody. So he requests his friend Trevor not to tell anybody about his foolish act. The next morning, Huggy had a visitor. Mr. Gustave Nordine was an old gentleman with gold spectacles and grey hairs. The description of this person who is a visitor to Huggy's house. The name is Mr. Gustave Nordine, who is wearing gold spectacles. That means specs. And the person has grey hair. I have come from Baron Hasberg, he said. The Baron? I beg, sir, that you will offer him my apologizes, stammered Huggy. So, the visitor said that he is here because Baron Hasberg has sent him here. After listening the name, Huggy started stammering. He was not able to speak perfectly. His voice was shaking. And he said that he was sorry for his all mistakes. The Baron, said the old gentleman with a smile, has asked me to bring you this letter, and he held out an envelope. So Mr. Gustave gave an envelope to Huggies and said this envelope is given to him by Baron Hasberg to deliver you. On the outside was written, a wedding present to Huggy Escane and Laura Merton from an old beggar. Inside was a check for £10,000. Yes, that's a lovely gift given by an old beggar to the simple, honest person. That is Mr. Huggy. After knowing the whole story, Baron was so impressed by Huggy's behavior, his honesty, that he gave him a check of £10,000 so that he can marry Laura. When they were married, Alan Trevor was the best man. Best man is a person in Christians, the male friend or the relative of the bride. दूल्हे का best friend होता है वो. And the baron made a speech at the wedding. Millionaire's model, remarked Alan, are rare enough. But model millionaires are rarer still. Yes, this line means that people who are rich, they can behave like models, they can pretend like models. But those who are the real models, those who are giving us the real things, those who are teaching us, those who are giving us the lessons, they are the real models. They are very less in millionaires, who are very less. So here I'm completing the chapter explanation. I hope all of you understand.